And if you had even the slightest inkling that your kids might be partying, then you were gonna get nailed for it, whether you actually knew they were partying or not. They were going under the supposition that you have to be responsible for your kids 24/7, even if you're up at the lake, that you don't dare trust your children at all. So
we can still, but we can
that.
still serve liquor to our children, right? Is that correct?
There is a
No.
clause.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We can. Don't say we can. Did you bring that up?
This says, it's under section 5A,
Absolutely.
this ordinance does not apply to conduct solely between an underage person and his or her parents while present in the parent's household.
With your permission.
Right, right.
Is that true? That still is going to be?
That's still in,
Still
you can
gonna-
still
that's
do
still
that.
Well, you
there.
said no first.
Yeah.
I think this is too vague. We got one city in the county is not passing this right now. I think we should wait and see what, I think a district attorney, county attorney and a judge might misinterpret these things. I hate to see someone lose their house over nothing. We have laws now, you can't drink underage.
Well, we have laws now that covers every problem that this one is trying to.
We have laws now, we don't need this.
Well, I think the only reason to pass this ordinance is because then that kind of brings us in line with what the county's already doing. I think that the idea that they've tightened up the language a little bit speaks in favor of it. Again, I don't disagree with either one of you when you say that there are already ordinances in place, and if they're applied effectively, they're basically the same thing as this. This is kind of it's something that the county's asking us to do, to just sort of make sure that what they're enforcing is the same thing we're enforcing. We're all using the same language.
But we're not. Every town has a different law.
Well, slightly different. And
Well,
I think that
no.
actually, and I think that ours is better than the county.
But that means every town has a different ordinance. So we're actually trying to enforce half a dozen different ordinances in this.
Well, this just applies to our town.
That's true, but don't say that this is what the county wants us to do, so we're on the same page. We're on 6 separate different pages under this ordinance.
This is
county.
this was brought to us by the county,
Who is the county?
and I believe
who brought this to us?
the county law enforcement.
County
Who?
attorney.
Is there a name? Okay,
sheriff.
Stanika?
Yeah.
So Stanika is pushing this. Why doesn't Stanika come and talk to us? If it's such a good idea, he should be here.
He
What-
can. We haven't invited him, but he could.
What's Lee Sewer County, what have they done?
I have no idea.
Who brought this to why is this on the agenda? What councilman brought this forward?
None. It was
Okay.
brought forward by the.
It's a request by the
sheriff.
county.
Request by the county and the
Okay.
sheriff. I do have a question for Ms. Thompson. Under Section 7, severability, in my kind of review of these ordinances in general, I found that there are higher courts that have ruled against situations like this. In the case of, and I'm not going to be able to cite you chapter and verse, but when it gets to severability, and it says any section, subsection, sentence, blah, 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 exactly what does this just make? I think that what we're getting at here is does this clause make the whole thing moot?
What do you mean by the whole thing moot?
If a court is going to decide, and there's I'm thinking that there's case study or there are previous cases of this sort of thing being brought to a higher court beyond say the local jurisdiction. What do you think is vulnerable in this ordinance to something like this?
Well, Mr. Mayor, the severability clause is generally included in ordinances in case, so you don't throw out the baby with the bathwater, so to speak. So let's say someone is cited for multiple portions of the ordinance violation, but one particular portion of it is found to have been unconstitutional, for example. The other charges will still hold. So this is pretty form language so that you don't lose the entire case on one sentence.
Yeah.
As far as this, like you said, this does come from the county attorney. The county attorney wants it to be uniform because there is the joint powers prosecution services that is provided. It does make it more streamlined. I guess as far as I see this, it would just be somehow proving knowledge would be the most difficult part. I don't necessarily see that as being something that the court would invalidate. It becomes a factual question. Did the parents have any reason to know their kids were drinking or were going to drink? And that will be